Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody's doing all right. At the Forefront Radio, we sound the trumpet against systemic injustice. I'm your host, Afia Levi. Today, we expose the barbaric, inhumane, and politically racist apparatus of ICE, baby, culminating in yet another travel ban that closes America's doors to the oppressed. Our first topic of conversation is the several migrants, mostly in Djibouti, who were locked in a steel shipping container in 90-degree heat weather, without water, without ventilations, without bathroom, without oversight. And an NPR investigation revealed that they were told to use the corner. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. In a shipping container, folks. Let me show you this article from NPR News. And we're going to show you the truth because the Bible says the truth does not fear investigation, right? Let me show it to you on the screen. All right, notice what this says here. Notice what this says here. Deportees are being held in converted shipping container in Djibouti, ICE says, June the 6th, 2025. All right, watch this. A group of deported migrants is living in a converted shipping container, not a house, not a detention facility, a shipping container. A shipping container, folks, at a U.S. military base in Djibouti, a country in East Africa, where they are guarded around the clock by a small team of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, according to a Thursday court filing. Several migrants have been stuck at the base for more than 2 weeks after the airplane they were on, which was originally bound for South Sudan, was rerouted mid trip due to a federal judge's ruling. The court ruling came after multiple people facing deportation fought the Trump administration's effort to send them to South Sudan. Now their case has been reached all the way to the Supreme Court, which could issue a ruling at any time. It's the latest It's the latest example of migrants being caught in the middle of legal crosshairs between Trump's efforts to streamline deportations and the court's push for due process. Since the flight landed in Djibouti, ICE officers have been left with limited resources, and the migrants have been held with very limited communication with their families and no communication with their lawyers. So where's the due process? We don't even have access to courts systems, and you're being dragged across the country to another place. On Wednesday, lawyers for the migrants said some of the detainees were able to make contact with families for the first time since being put on the flight on May 20th. ICE did not immediately respond to the request for comment on why the officers and migrants were still in Djibouti. Working and detention conditions are dire. In a Thursday court filing, Melissa Harper, acting deputy executive associate director at ICE, said that the migrants were being held in a conference room in a converted Connex shipping container at Camp Lemonnier at a U.S. Navy base. She said the ICE contingent includes 11 officers assigned to guard the deportees and 2 officers to support medical staff. The ICE personnel are working 12-hour shifts, and Harper noted that they do not have the capacity to maintain constant surveillance, custody, and care of aliens for prolonged periods of time. Now, you know why this is important, folks? Because some people will say, oh, Forefront, there's no proof. Forefront, you're making it up. Oh, it's just an NPR article. Here's the actual court document, y'all. Here's the actual court document. You understand? So we're not making stuff up when we're telling you what's going on in modern day society and how they are mistreating and misrepresenting people throughout our diaspora. We got the proof, y'all. We got the evidence. It's right in front of your face. Here's the actual court document. Notice what this court document is saying, y'all. Notice what this court document is saying. It says United States District Court, District of Massachusetts. Here's the name of the lady. Declaration of Melissa B. Harper. We're going to type Control F and type shipping to see if it's mentioning shipping container. Look at this right here. Look at this right here. The aliens are currently being held in conference rooms in convex shipping container. A shipping container, y'all. A shipping container. That ain't right, y'all. That ain't right. This brings us to our next article that's we're going to talk about, y'all. So the information is readily available for those that want to research it, y'all. You understand? So the next thing we're going to touch on is the fact that NPR also put an article, because some might say, oh, this is just something dealing with migrants under the Trump administration. Y'all, this was going on even under Biden's administration. So don't get it twisted. Let's go to Job chapter 9, verse 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the Bible verse is telling you that the earth currently is under the control of the wicked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, y'all. Whoever's controlling the world today, the Bible calls the wicked. So y'all Christians been looking around for the Antichrist this whole time, and you are the system of the Antichrist. Your system of Western civilization causes chaos throughout the planet. Why is there a United States military base in Africa? And it's utilized to detain people that just want to make a better life for themselves, and they allegedly call them criminals when they're not. Leaving the people without water, without ventilation, without bathrooms, without oversight, and telling them go use the corner. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. Let's go to Job chapter 24, verse 7. Let's go to Job chapter 24, verse 7 in the Bible. Let's go to Job chapter 24, verse 7. Let's go to Job chapter 24, verse 7. It says, they cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. You hear what the Bible say? You hear what the Bible say? This is the thought process of Eurocentric delusionalism and how they mistreat people throughout the world, y'all. Throughout the world. This is ice cold injustice. Ice cold injustice. They're not treating people correctly nor fairly. You understand? So now NPR has an article entitled Barbaric and Neglect Treatment. In this article, they report and uncover systemic violations, spoiled food, medical neglect, retaliation, and denial of mental health. DHS inspectors found 157 critical violations across 6 facilities, what they describe as inhumane indifference. Inhumane indifference. Let's look at that article briefly. And this was under the previous administration of your boy Joe Biden. Listen close to this.
Accused the president of being too lenient toward migrants. Now the administration is locking up more unauthorized immigrants and asylum seekers in detention facilities. And NPR has exclusively obtained more than 1,600 pages of confidential inspection reports examining conditions inside those facilities. They describe barbaric practices, negligent medical care, racist abuse, and filthy conditions. NPR's Tom Dry.
So if they're having racist abuse, right? Why are they not doing this to Ukrainian immigrants? Why are they not doing this to European immigrants? Why is it that they're only impacting Black and brown people? Y'all, the government's own experts found that they're being barbaric, racist. You understand? This is very important information that we have to understand in these last days, where they're utilizing immigration policies against specific nationalities. Specific nationalities, y'all. Listen close.
Tom Dreisbach reports, and just a warning, the story includes some disturbing details.
There's this home video of Kamiar Samimi in the 1990s playing with his 2 young daughters on a slide at a little green park in Colorado at dusk. He was born in Iran, moved to the US to study computer science in the 1970s. He got a green card, built a family, and on this video, he tells his daughter in Farsi to wave hi to grandma back in Iran.
He loved it here.
That's one of his daughters, Neda Samimi Gomez. Neda told me that growing up, you could always find her dad with a can of Pepsi in his hand, smelling like oil from his job as a mechanic, watching NASCAR and other American TV.
We would sit down in the summers and watch Law and Order. That was our thing. Like, he wanted me to become a lawyer.
Because of Law and Order?
Because of Law and Order, yeah.
Kamiar Samimi also struggled with drugs. It started as a kid back in Iran when he was given opium for tooth pain. In the US, he was prescribed methadone, which he took to manage opioid use disorder for more than 2 decades. He and Neda were close, but by the time she was an adult, they didn't see each other all the time. Then came November 2017.
We had been trying to reach him to invite him over for Thanksgiving, and we weren't able to get a hold of him on his phone at all.
You must have been worried during
Yes.
that time.
And then even more so worried when I found out he was detained by ICE.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement had arrested her dad and taken him to an ICE detention center in Aurora, Colorado. Kamiar Samimi was a lawful permanent resident, but back in 2005, he pleaded guilty to possessing less than a gram of cocaine and was sentenced to community service. 12 years later, ICE decided that conviction meant they could deport Kamiar.
12 years later. 12 years later. 12. Hold on a second. You get convicted of a criminal offense in the United States. You already do your service and you do your due diligence, and 12 years later, they decide to deport you for something that happened literally over a decade ago. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. You know how much you European people doing evil in the United States, doing drugs in the United States, and they just get a slap on the wrist, and they're literally foreigners with no visa, no papers, nothing. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. You can't make this stuff up. This is weird stuff, man. You know why? Because they're being biased to individuals, right? And they're having injustice towards individuals based on their race. Do not think that this immigration policy is for everyone. No, it's targeting you based on race. You understand? You can't make this stuff up, y'all. 12 years ago, this man got caught up in an offense, and for some strange reason, they decided to say, even though it's 12 years ago, let's try to lock your ass up again. You can't make this stuff up. This is evil. This is evil. You understand? This is not justice, y'all. This is wickedness masqueraded as justice. You understand? Watch this. It says the reports provide an unprecedented look at the ICE detention system through the eyes of experts hired to investigate complaints of civil rights abuses, who provide an often unvarnished perspective. These experts have specific expertise in subjects such as medicine, mental health, use of force, and environmental health. Sources familiar with these inspections tell NPR that they often uncover problems and other governmental inspections that they miss. These reports are chilling, they are damning, said Eunice Cho, senior staff attorney of the American Civil Liberties Union National Prison Project and an expert on ICE detention. When NPR shared the report's findings, they really show how the government's own inspectors can see the abuses and the level of abuses of what is happening in these ICE detention centers. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. And that's under the former administration. That's under Biden. You understand? They were saying that these jokers were being barbaric under Biden. So don't think that Trump being empowered, this is something new for us, folks. This is not something new. This is an ongoing war on immigration. This is ice cold injustice. Now, the next segment we're going to touch on is Physician for Human Rights, The Endless Nightmare, where they chronicle detainees held in solitary confinement for over 300 days, stripped of due process, stripped of sunlight, stripped of legal access, and subject to psychological torture. You understand? But before we do that, let's read Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 3. Thus saith the Lord, execute ye judgments and righteousness, and deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong. Do no violence to the stranger. What does the Bible say? Do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. So if you call yourself a Christian nation, right? If you call yourself a Christian nation, why are you oppressing those that you call strangers or quote unquote aliens? Why are you oppressing the fatherless, the orphans? Why are you oppressing the widow? Many accounts we find where people are being persecuted just based on their race, and they say, oh, you did something 12 years ago, so we're going to deport you out of the country. And their families are left abandoned. You understand?